Hi friends, today we're going to be taking a look at a few photos where the photographers use different techniques to create a sense of scale, and they executed on those techniques gloriously. One of those techniques being this idea of violently chopping off the top of things to create a sense of scale. Another one being using relativity to create contrast in the scale of objects in the scene. And another one being using wide angles and also very dramatic angles, compositionally speaking. I'm tilting the camera with my hands as I say that, so think of tilting your camera in different directions with a wide angle on the front to create a sense of scale. I was wearing a hat a second ago, but I took it off. And the reason why I was wearing a hat is because my wife said, well, I had this crazy lick on this side, and my wife said that my hair looks like Paula Deen hair. I don't know what that means, but it's better now. Here's the first photo that we're going to take a look at today. This is by, well, the name on the account was Jaunty Fine. If this is your name, fantastic name, and I would encourage you to become a freeform jazz flutist. Great name for a freeform jazz flutist. I came across this photo a while back, and it's a fantastic photo. I absolutely love it. There's a contrast between suburban and urban development and life in this photo, in a metaphorical sense, but also in a compositional sense, which is very interesting, this juxtaposition. And you also see an example of using something that doesn't belong, this giant skyscraper shooting up in the middle of a neighborhood, as a way to engage people. It's startling. It's an emotionally engaging property of this photo. The photo itself is very stark and dramatic. The colors are nice in this photo. The geometry is nice. But the main thing that I wanted to touch on with this photo is the idea of cutting off the top of things to demonstrate scale. In this case, we have the top of this tower chopped off. You don't know how much taller it is. So just like if you see a mountain cloaked in clouds, the top of the mountain is cloaked in clouds, you don't know how much further it goes on up. So in your mind, you say, that's enormous, and there's mystery there, and it's very intriguing. It's just the same thing here. Beautiful photo. Next photo I want to take a look at. This was taken in the Mexico's hot cave of crystals. And I first came across this from a National Geographic documentary or something of this sort. And it's a cave where when you can only stay in the cave for so long because it's really hot. You have to have certain equipment and this sort of thing. But it's a cave full of giant crystals, ice crystals. And as you can see in this photo, they're little tiny people walking around. And so first off, I will link below to all of these photos. This one was taken by Cartson Peter, who is a National Geographic photographer. But what makes this cave feel so huge to us is the presence of the people in the cave. And you don't need this when you're physically present in the cave. Your mind does all that calculations for you. But when it comes to photography, you can fill in that void with different techniques, and this is one of them, taking people and inserting them into the frame to show the relative difference between the size of the people, which we pretty much have a good idea of, and their surrounding landscape. And if this photo was minus the people, we would have no grasp on just how big and immense this cave is. And also a very wide angle and how small the people are add to the feeling of immensity. Here's the last photo I'd like to look at today. This one was taken on top of the Freedom Tower, I'm going to guess, given by all the contextual clues in the photo itself. This is by Jimmy Chin, who is another National Geographic photographer. And one thing we see here is using light to create separation. The person climbing up the tower has a nice blanket of light on him to separate him from the background. The background is very busy, very bright. New York, downtown New York, or all the different downtowns of New York are incredibly busy and vibrant place. And so this separation is kind of needed here. If there was not a nice beam of light on this person's face, whether it be, as in this case, maybe it's a strobe or maybe it's light from the tower itself, the photo may not have the proper contrast to be usable. At least I might edit it out of my process, even though I mean, this is an amazing scene to take a photo in. You might screw it up because you don't have or you might have to edit away your mistakes. You also see an intense focus expression on his face, which adds to the story here. And we have a wide angle being used here, and also an incredibly dramatic angle, this sort of tilted down 45 degrees, vertigo-inducing type of angle. This also helps us feel a sense of scale. We also see the photographer cutting off the top of the tower in sort of the same way as in the last photo, but a little bit differently as well. The edges are managed well, which I think is a really interesting thing about this photo, where if you look around all the edges of the photo, as many things are going on down there, there's nothing poking in a strange way. It's beautifully done, beautifully done. And all this comes together to tell the story of this guy, who I'm guessing may have the exciting job of changing the light bulb on the Freedom Tower, which would be a lot of fun. I would love to photograph that. But anyway, those are the photos that I wanted to take a look at today and the techniques that I wanted to talk about. Please feel free to engage, and if you subscribe, that would make you a super neat person. If you want to check out my shop, that would also make you a super neat person. And tell me about any photographic principles that I can cover in order to change your life. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.